Good evening and welcome to The Square. Tonight's discussion is a much-needed conversation that we have been meaning to have, and it's to do with fitness and nutrition and how to stay fit and healthy, especially during this COVID-19 pandemic. As you very well know, most of us lead a very sedentary life. From the time we wake up to the time we go to work to the time we get back to work, most of us are often seated and very inactive. So joining us this evening to shed light on how we can achieve a healthier and more active lifestyle in terms of nutrition as well as exercise. We are joined by our guests, and I'll start with our guest, Mr. Ivan Munye, who is a fitness instructor as well as the owner of a popular gym in Kigali known as Kali Fitness. Ivan Munye, great to have you on The Square.
Thank you for having me.
Great. We are also joined by Esther Batetiwabo, who is a nutritionist at King Faisal Hospital. Esther, great to have you on the show.
Thank you very much.
Great. My name is Dana Mpisi, host of The Square. I'm joined as always by the resident panelists on The Square. I'll start with you, Charles Sabah. Great to have you on the show tonight, and an interesting shirt that we have. I like the shirt.
Lauren and all the guys at Uzi Collections have had a very ingenious ways. But I'll tell our viewers and...
the green is nice.
No, we'll talk about that. But somebody complained that I look the same, with the same design and blah, blah, blah. So the guys at Uzi tried to be flamboyant, and here I am, I think.
Do you feel the difference?
I think I look interesting.
You do.
No, I feel interesting.
Well, great.
I hope people stop, don't, I feel bizarre.
You feel bizarre. No, you look great. Great to Uzi Collection for keeping us, staying in Lady Vanda shirts and outfits. Also joining the show as always, resident panelist on the show, Brian Anamata. Great to have you on The Square.
Thank you, Dana.
Great.
And I think the green is nice.
Yeah, actually, I think you look good in this new design.
Yeah, I think it will be very nice on a kid's Christmas party.
Anyway, so we're here tonight to talk about how to stay fit, how to stay active, how to adopt healthy eating habits. But before we do, as we always do on The Square, just midweek highlights for the show before we kick off. Charles, is there anything that caught your attention this week that you'd like to share with our viewers?
Again, at the beginning of COVID, we did make a pledge to our listeners, and I keep saying this at the beginning of every show, that we'll try and make the highlight of every show COVID-related. Again, my highlight of the week is COVID-related. So, cases are growing. It's extremely concerning that they're growing in Kigali. Equally concerning that they are growing in detention centers. I am extremely impressed by the Rwandan government that we do not hide from the fact that the cases are growing in detention centers. I think it is something we need to look into. We did say it, I think, 2 weeks ago on the Square, that we should not be in a hurry to necessarily apprehend people and crowd them in one place. We are seeing the direct impact that people are getting sick in police cells and what have you. I did see what I call a tract for now, because I've not seen official abusing the curfew beyond a certain time. Will be taken to a holding center until the morning. I hope the new cases the new centers do not come. Sorry, the new cases do not come from these holding centers of overnight places. I think the vigilance should not equate to new cases. It's extremely expensive to test, extremely expensive to maintain. I believe it's a lot cheaper to prevent. Thank you.
Absolutely. Raina, any midweek highlights, or should we go straight into tonight's topic?
I think it's still around COVID. If you look at the rush hour ahead of 9 p.m.
Psychopaths on the street. Driving.
Yeah. Interestingly, during the lockdown, we had these people that would go around reminding people, Mamurugo and all these things. I don't know what happened to that. I think it would be useful to kind of start reminding people you need to go home, you have the next 30 minutes or so, because if you look at the rush hour, 10 minutes to 9, the risk now with road accidents, I think it's something that needs to be looked into. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for your observations of interesting topics or activities that caught your attention this week. Charles, I also would like to comment on the issue. It would be a pity if people are put in screening centers because of, not abiding by the laws around curfew and so forth and so on, and only to be infected there. So I hope there are provisions to make sure that there's serious vigilance whenever they're holding people for breaking curfew and so forth and so on in the screening centers. So thank you very much to our guests once again, Ivan and Esther. And the discussion right now, like I said earlier on, is to do with fitness, lifestyle choices, staying active, as well as nutrition. So Ivan, I'd like to start off this part of the conversation with an open letter that you penned in end of last year, 2019. But I think it was published in one of Rwanda's newspapers, Tarifa, earlier on this year. And if you'll allow me to quote you, because some people have said you're exaggerating, some people actually tend to agree with you. And if you'll allow me to read an excerpt from your letter, and this was addressed to the Ministries of Health and Education, the city of Kigali, as well as to all Rwandans in public. And you said more and more people are living their lives eating unhealthy, not moving and pursuing unhealthy activities. At the end, the healthcare cost will become so high to a point where the average Rwandan will have to choose between a child's school fees and insulin. And then you went on to say that in Rwanda, we have much more clinics and hospitals than we do have wellness centers. I found that very, it caught my attention as it did to other people. And I just wanted to ask in general if you can elaborate on this open letter you penned, like I said earlier on, to various ministries, City of Kigali and Rwandans in general. And during this COVID-19 pandemic, it's very important to stay healthy and build our immune systems. How can we stay healthy and active based on the open letter you wrote last year?
Yeah, thank you, Diana. Thank you for bringing that data up again. It's something I wrote out of, I can say, it was motivated heavily by what was going on social media after what I had just written as a joke and there is this very popular fast food chain that had just opened their doors, or at least they were planning to open their doors here. And if I remember well, the joke I made was about Rwandans not being ready for a fast food chain if they still go to saunas for weight loss purposes. And I found it interesting. I mean, I found it necessary to bring that point so that people can just either laugh or catch the message behind it. And then it sort of took turns and people were DMing me and it's not good to, some called it attacking a business and others. But the point was really that. I just thought that Rwandans were not ready to embark on a journey of fast foods and unhealthy eatings that we already see in major cities of Rwanda, where the middle class and the upper middle class are starting to face different problems related to overeating or inactivity in general. Then it made me want to write that letter and address other issues related to that. And it got the attention of the institutions I was addressing it to, and the Rwandans in general. So yeah.
And you're the owner of Kali Fitness, and what are some of the main issues? What can you say? Some of the main issues that affect Rwandans, at least people who patron your gym, in terms of fitness issues and activities, and what recommendations can you give, especially to people watching the show tonight?
What are the main issues we get? What are the main issues we receive at the gym?
Yes.
And the recommendations for COVID period. It's very unfortunate that the real issues that should bring people at the gym aren't necessarily the reasons why people are motivated to train. Most of people are still consumed by the aesthetic part of fitness, where the looks, it's about the looks. I want slimmer waistlines. I want my thighs to look a certain way, my arms, my chest, but when you look at it, really, what's needed as a community that is moving in this fast economy, in this non-calorie consuming mobility system of cars and elevators, and what we need is to just get on the feet and work and do something physical. And then there is a result, because I believe that a body that does really good things, physically speaking, is a body that looks good. At the end of the day, you will look amazing in your clothes. Yeah. So in this period, we've managed to stay in touch with our clients despite having closed the gym since mid-March. Through, of course, technology has played a big role in providing assistance to our clients who are very loyal to us. You've seen many personal trainers using their social media platforms to deliver exercise and help. So, as you know, also mental health is a big issue. I think we can talk about that later. So people really relied on us as fitness professionals to sort of provide, because once you're at home, although it was like work from home for some, but for others, it was just go home and stay home. So staying home, we've never had such a pandemic, such a thing that locks the world into their homes, where you have 24 hours of doing nothing and repeat multiple weeks, multiple months. For some, it's still on. So moving was essential, but many people did not have either the knowledge or access to infrastructure, so they relied on what was possible in that period, which was our social media, and yeah. So in this period, we really tried and stayed in touch with lots of people, and yeah.
I like, before I hand over to hear what the resident panelists said, but I like what you said, we're in elevators, we're in cars, we're on our couches, we're in our office chairs, and so forth and so on. So it's very important to move. So for instance, a tip you'd give is, if instead of taking the elevator, you might as well take the stairs. Yeah,
of course. Because anything physical is very needed. When you look at how we got here in the first place, where we are the victims of our own convenience, things that we've set in place, we've put in place to make our lives easier. We've moved from horses to cars, from cars to supercars, from stairs to elevators, from other things that move us without us investing any physical power. They just make us sick, because I believe that we live in a body that is an athletic machine that needs maintenance, and if you don't move, the body will just let you. We start deteriorating, and eventually you fall sick. You start facing medical bills, like I mentioned in the letters. To some degree, some people will have to take also different tough decisions, like I mentioned, where you have things like hospital bills and a kid's education, so anything that can make us move is very needed and very welcome. So stairs over elevators, definitely.
Verna, I know you're a gym fanatic. I know you love working out. Would you like to comment very quickly on what Ivan said before we go to the nutrition part with Esther?
I think that it's he's just said it all. If you're in the gym for the wrong reason, then you don't actually get the value, and sometimes you feel like people go to the gym because my friend goes, or
Yeah.
So it's more of networking and less about the inside. And the other thing is technology has kind of made so many things possible, but also it's a problem. Like during the lockdown, my phone kept reminding me, you're not walking enough. You need to move. And I was like, look, it's a lockdown. I can't move. Yeah. But I kept getting these alerts.
Yes.
But I think ultimately, like he said, really, it's for you to understand that there's a link between the inside and the outside. And the inside matters so much than the outside. And if the inside is good, most cases you don't have to do so much about the outside. Because, for instance, we know the link between the state of your mental health and your appetite. So being able to understand that link would help you so much before you even go to the gym. The second thing is that it doesn't have to cost money, because sometimes, okay, we must admit that going to a gym and being able to hire an instructor like him to guide you through your fitness regime and diet is quite expensive. It's for the privileged. But we know that from the early days, all that people did was just move, getting access to cars was difficult, so people had to walk, many miles, doing all kinds of work manually. But now everything is automated, so in a way, the privileges that we have end up creating another set of problems. So I feel that while, for some people, the work regimes may dictate that they have to set a certain time and go to the gym because probably you're busy throughout the day, it is also possible to consciously just be active and you'll be fine, without any advice from a fitness instructor, And also, perhaps the other thing, finally, I think is around, we'll get into it, the nutrition bit that he insinuated about. The food that actually keeps your body in good condition, that you just, it's not expensive. It's not the food that people will go out for, for a weekend or we are hanging out in a certain place. No, it is just basic food that we grow and is available, So it's just a conscious effort for someone to appreciate that and also perhaps resist the privileges, because sometimes you feel that maybe because you are in a certain class, you can't eat a sweet potato or you can't eat,
Yes.
Yet that's just nutrition. Or you can't have boiled food. If you're seen eating boiled food, that would be a bad indication, on how deep your pockets are. Yeah, and what is absurd about this whole discussion for me is that if you look at the developed world and the trends in nutrition, they're looking for our food.
And then it's the other way around.
Yes.
We're actually, looking for their food.
Yes.
As you can see, I think that's what Ivan was saying, the, advent of fast food chain restaurants in Rwanda starting last year.
Yeah, because the standard recommendation for a healthy life is a Mediterranean diet. More greens.
Nuts and vegetables.
Yeah. Which we easily access. But you find that for most people, you must have some fries, you must have all these things. Otherwise, you're not seen to be in a certain class, Yeah.
Charles?
This is one of the most difficult conversations to comment on because, in my opinion, it's a no-brainer. But that said, I think there's an effort that needs to be made on two fronts. One, by the actors and those whom it affects. The actors include people like Ivan and Esther, who make a living out of telling people to do the right thing.
Reminding them.
Yes.
Yes.
Now, I think the first thing that they should understand is not being alarmists. One time we hosted somebody on the show here and we were talking about cancer. And one of the things the doctor said was that, I want to tell everybody that not everything causes cancer. So we need to be real about some of these things. I'm sure Ivan and Esther like to sit down. I suspect Esther will probably not mind one of her nieces or nephews or cousins having a burger, one cheat day a month for that matter. So we're real, we're human beings. So I think that's really the conversation that we need to have, that as long as we appreciate that we are who we are and we are very frank about that, then it will be a lot easier. That's the first point I wanted to make. The second point I wanted to make is nothing to do with all of us, but a lot to do with regulation. The government of Rwanda spends a lot of money on its civil servants, its employees in gym, health clubs, and what.
They actually pay.
They pay.
Yeah.
They pay. And the only way they want to check that they are paying is by roll call. So I will go to Nyarutarama Tennis Club, Serena, Cercle Sportif, and what have you, and I'll check in and go to the bar. But what mechanisms are there? Because the reason for which these things have been set up is well intended. Is to reduce the cost of expenditure on health and health-related diseases. So that's why you'll have car-free day and they'll test for all these diseases. You'll have so you have car-free day. The other one is, the one I don't like so much is, I think there are two in a month.
I think there are two.
Yeah, there are two car-free days in a month.
Car-free zone days,
coupled
yes.
with Muganda, and it becomes too much. Coupled with half, the one I was looking for is half day working on Friday.
Yeah, Friday.
To go for sports.
Yes. That's the one I don't like, because
I know.
I believe it's, you're compelling people to do something that they don't necessarily like.
But maybe some people need to be compelled to actually get into it.
But they don't
Yeah,
actually
but
do
the
it.
point I'm raising, Diana, is that
But some do.
it has to be very focused towards achieving a certain result. For example, RBA, where we are today. You're not going to work on Friday afternoon. Go to Kali Fitness, weigh in, weigh out. Let's see how many calories you've burnt. Let it be recorded somewhere. The same way you put a thumbprint when you're checking into, it's like roll call literally, So
But
let it be very results
oriented. But I still think you do a disservice to people who actually, civil servants who actually welcome Friday afternoons off and who actually have had their lives transformed since this initiative or this directive from government came out, and they actually do work out. Yes, there are those obviously who will take advantage of the situation, but I don't think we should do a disservice to civil servants who actually make use of this.
I think my point is not about is not on the employee side.
Yeah.
I think it's on the employer side, because they're investing so much money in this. They need to demand more results. It needs to be replicated in the amount of money that Mutual de Sante or Rama or whatever is spending on these non-communicable diseases and blah blah blah. So we need to see
value for money.
Value for money. Well, I wanted to say something about Kali Fitness, but I'm happy to move on. And then,
okay, we'll say that later in the show. Esther, we are now coming to your part of the conversation. We've talked about being active. We're talking about moving, but we also need to understand, and I think Ivan will correct me if I'm mistaken here, but I know when, working out, I'm always being told that it's 80% diet and 20% working out. So nutrition is a key component of, healthy lifestyles. So Esther, if you'll allow me to start by reading a bit of a statistic. A 2015 report from the Ministry of Health stated in 2015 that NCDs accounted for around 36% of all deaths at that time. Now, Esther, you work at King Faisal Hospital as a nutritionist, and I'm sure you've come across cases of NCDs, non-communicable diseases, as a result of poor eating habits. If you can just tell us, based on your perspective as a nutritionist, what are the main causes of patients who come in for nutritional services from you, and what are the main cases of these NCDs, and what eating habits do you think you can share with us to build our immune systems, especially during this COVID-19 pandemic? And later on, I'll ask you about children as well, eating habits of children, which is very important. So if you can start off by telling us what are the main causes of cases that you see as a nutritionist at King Faisal Hospital.
Thank you, Diana, for the question. I will start with explaining about NCDs. NCDs are the diseases that are not directly transmissible from one person to another. They have many examples, but I will talk about a few, the common ones, mainly in Rwanda. Examples are like diabetes, cardiovascular diseases, hypertension, strokes, and some cancers like colon cancer and many others. So those examples of NCDs, they can be caused by different causes or the main risk factors. For example, the first risk factor, I'm going to talk about the top 5 that have proved by scientists or researchers. I'll start with physical inactivity. Physical inactivity will come back in this conversation because it is really important about the prevention of NCDs. As Ivan said about it, something that moves us, it is really important because when we eat, our energy or energy requirement must always be equal to energy expenditure, or the energy we eat from the food, it has to be equal to the energy we use. So being physically inactive, it can cause or promotes the accumulation of the fats that are not really needed by the body. So those accumulation of the fats can lead to some cardiovascular diseases and other non-communicable diseases. The second risk factor is eating unhealthy food or unhealthy diet. This includes very many points, and but I'm going to go through them, but in brief, eating a healthy diet requires not really much things. To eat healthy doesn't need to be a rich person. It is just to know, what am I eating? If I'm going to eat spinach, what am I going to gain from the spinach? If I'm eating sweet potatoes, what am I going to get from that sweet potato? So on the many unhealthy foods that can lead to cardiovascular diseases and other non-communicable diseases. Examples are like the foods that contain a lot of trans fats or the fats that are unhealthy. Another thing is the foods with more added simple sugars. Those can lead to accumulation of the unwanted sugars in the body, and those can lead to overweight or obese. I will explain more about being overweight or obese, and after all, maybe someone can calculate and know what is the good weight you need to have. And other things that, other foods that have high salt content, they are not good for our bodies, so we have to eat the adequate salt, but not too much, because they can lead to hypertension and other diseases. On what I've said about being overweight, when your body weight increased and is not proportional to your height, what we call body mass index, or your proportional height to weight is high, it is when we start to say that someone is overweight or obese. So the normal body mass index for adult people ranges from 18.5 to 24.9. I don't know if you're going to memorize it, but if you need like much explanations, you can consult a nutritionist and can help you. When a person gained body mass index from 25 to 29.9, it's overweight. And when a person a person's BMI increased to 30 and above, it's classified as obesity. And that, to prevent that, because we have seen that those conditions can lead to non-communicable diseases. To avoid that, as we start saying, balancing our energy requirements with energy expenditure, or the energy we use in our daily activities, including physical activity or exercises. As Munye said, we need to eat healthier foods.
Esther, thank you very much. I would like us to just, in the interest of time, because we have a lot of tweets coming in, and there are people asking questions to you, Ivan and Esther. But Esther, thank you for that, that broad-based explanation of the importance of nutrition, especially making sure that what we take in corresponds to our activity. I know a lot of us, I don't know about you, Charles and Berna, eat more than we actually, the expenditure, when it goes out. So I just want to start quickly by reading with some tweets. And the first tweet we have is from Yummy and Fresh. I know Yummy and Fresh, they serve really good, healthy food in case you want it delivered to your doorstep. Yummy and Fresh says, I completely agree with Ivan. Get moving. You don't need to spend so much to be active. Simply walk home, take the stairs, work out at home. Your body will thank you later. We have another tweet coming in from another viewer, also on this particular topic. And Mwene Munana states that due to the nutrition transition, some people are physically inactive, and how we are eating obliges us to do physical exercise every day. And that's why gyms were introduced into our country. Another tweet very quickly before we move to the next part of the conversation. The next tweet is from Alois, and Alois states that my thanking hand to the team that brought this fantastic discussion. I caught this by asking Ivan and Esther, how do they put this multidiscipline into moving cycle? We have got a public that needs education so as to merge fitness and nutrition. So I think his question very quickly is, how to make this a reality in our lives. If we can go to our next tweet, that's the first tweet to to you. We also have another tweet to you, Ivan, and this asks, very interesting show tonight. Can the guests, especially Ivan, talk a bit about good sleeping habits and the importance of sleep in relation to fitness? So, Ivan, over to you. If you could just quickly start by answering those tweets that were put forward to you.
Yes, thank you. The tweets are really nice. I will start with the first question: how to make it a reality in the kind of lives we live on, of like waking up and going to work and doing all kinds of things, familying and now homeschooling and other things that we are really doing. How to actually live an actual healthy life that has fitness in it, because it's possible to live the other way with fitness out of it. I always encourage people to not watch marathons on TV and want to run marathons the next day. I always want people to contextualize, put things into their own context, and then look at the kind of lifestyle they have, the kind of jobs they do, the kind of in which kind of neighborhoods they live in, and then use your surrounding, use your family, use your house, see if you have a yard, see if you have a garden, and start from there, because you don't need a world-class facility to do something with your body. Like I said, technology has helped us deliver messages and workouts and meal plans and all kinds of things to people sitting at their homes. And I suggest anyone at home, from work, from of all walks of life and all socioeconomic setup, they can do something with their life. You just, if you use social media, you follow a couple of people who can who provide the content that speaks to you. If you have a yard, do a couple of push-ups and burpees. We all know, like Charles was saying, it sounds like a no-brainer when you hear people talking about fitness. It's like we shouldn't even argue whether we need it or not. But all these names of workouts and things we consume on a daily, and seeing people do it, they run so much on our head to a point where we take them for granted, and we get to even a level where we forget there is a big disconnect between what it is that they intended to, what was their message before as help, as things that were supposed to help us. We were supposed to consume them, and then eventually they become our entertainment or some other sort of things to amuse ourselves with. But in reality, consume them, do what they do, they will help you. Look around you, you have a baby, you have a kid, you can, when you're lifting the kid in the air, you're doing shoulder presses. When you're going upstairs in the room, you are working out your quads. When it's your surrounding, we shouldn't go far from the nature to feel good. We are designed to stay in that environment and be healthy in it.
And the last tweet to you, very briefly, if you could just tell us about marrying fitness and good sleeping habits, just very briefly on that point.
And good sleeping, yeah. When you look at the day and how you spend your rest of the day, the energy levels and how you feel in general and how you react to what people tell you or what you read, and basically your whole system during the day functions and runs efficiently based on how you slept last night. So the recommendation hours of sleep can go up to above 8 if you can, but 8 is a very good time to. There are very good hours to sleep and then feel good in the morning. So when it comes to how you feel, because of sleep is very, of course, you can't go around it. It's very important to sleep enough. So when you do those hours, the next day you feel encouraged to do more, to be better, to smile. It's like the day will be blessed in the night before, kind of thing. So sleep is important.
Thank you very much, Charles. Is there something you wanted to add? Very quickly?
I think the point I really wanted to raise was around simplicity. You know, when these people, and Ivan has broken it down in a very, very simple way, carrying your baby up the stairs and what have you. But I think the likes of Esther and everyone in the medical world and some of the people in Ivan's world, Ivan, you've really bailed yourself out. Let's simplify things. How do you tell somebody that body mass index is going to reduce your weight and make you a more healthy person? Break it down. I mean, look at the way we are, the five of us in this studio. How many people know body mass index? Just break it down and tell me it's carrots. You know, so Esther, I think it's a challenge I would like to give you guys, that simplify things. You know, and earlier on I'd said about Cali Fitness, and the reason why I didn't subscribe to Cali Fitness, and I hope you can hook me up, because I went to another gym. I walked into Cali Fitness because my business partner was saying it's the best gym in the world, I mean in Kigali. I walked into there, I found an Islam trainer, and he asked, the first question he asked me is, do you drink alcohol? I said, yes, I do. He's like, we'll have a conversation about alcohol.
Is that what made you quit?
No. I went to another gym because, well, the reason why I went to another gym was because they didn't have showers at Cali Fitness at the time.
Not
but
because
the
if they ask you if you drink alcohol.
Yes, the reception was wrong. You understand? So you should be telling me about the ills of alcohol versus keeping healthy. You should be breaking it down for me what body mass index is. So simplify certain some of these things. And I think, and I want to give an example of Norway. I'll digress in a relevant way. In Norway, you get credits for taking a holiday. And that is because the more you rest, the more you'll be productive. The more you rest, the more you'll cost the government less money. And we can give a few more. I know, Bana, and I like it when we disagree.
Okay, but Charles,
for a fact,
if you can link Norway with the conversation.
I think everyone who's in this space, whether it's a health practitioner, fitness, just simplify it. It's just as simple as that. Just make it very, very real.
Yes. I agree with you. Berna, I'd like to hear what you want to tell Charles.
Well, I think Charles gets it wrong. These are professionals, yes, and they need to be paid for consultation. So to expect them to do public service, I think it would be unfair to their professional, skills. If you need professional help, you should be able to pay for it. The kind of suggestions that you're making, I feel, are more relevant for the Ministry of Health to sort of speak to ordinary Rwandans and explain to them.
The doctor was telling me I'm going to die.
I mean, that's for the Ministry of Health. And the example you give of Norway, we have to be realistic that all these initiatives are funded in a way, that a country with a certain income can afford to tell people you go on holiday, and that would be funded somehow, yeah. But I think the key point is let's just do the basics and encourage our people to just do the basics. For example, around the home, most of homes around Kigali have house helps. Yeah, can we say 2 days a week over the weekend, give them a day off and just do the housework, for instance?
Impossible. I know a lot of people who during the COVID lockdown lost it when they couldn't have workers to do the basics.
I mean, it's not rocket science.
Yeah, absolutely.
Some of these things, it's not rocket science. Yeah. You don't need a professional to take you through the regime. It's just basics. And I think going back to the Ministry of Health, RBC, these are the kind of initiatives and public awareness campaigns that they should be, rolling out and telling people. And to your earlier observation around public service and the Friday off, it could be incentivized in a way. I don't think that the government should actually be paying for people to go to the gym. I think it should pay a certain portion to top up. So what you would essentially do there is people who have interest. Because instead of paying and people don't go, you rather top up for people who have expressed a willingness,
I like that.
to go. Otherwise, I don't see how you can practically measure productivity from a gym and track that. I mean, the government has so many things to track, and I doubt that.
I definitely agree with you, and especially with Charles when he talks about value for money. I'd like to just go back to our guests before we close. And the last topic, very briefly, because in the interest of time, I would like us to just touch on this point quickly. It's to do with mindset. We know that during this COVID-19 pandemic, it's had a toll mentally on people. So I'm sure this has affected activity and physical fitness and movement, and I'm sure this has also affected nutrition. I know for a fact that during this period, personally, if I speak for myself, the weight gain has not been good. Going to the fridge and the couch and the fridge and the couch, so these are habits that we're picking up because we're staying in one place, we're being inactive, we don't get to move around as much for obvious reasons of trying to maintain this pandemic. But let's talk about the mental aspect of this. And Ivan, I'll start with you before we go to Esther. If you could just give us recommendations on how to be motivated to stay fit and also keep up a positive mental mindset.
Thank you for the question. Yeah, you're right. During this pandemic, and we've gone really in a different and very hard way of living that we never rehearsed, we never lived it before, where you are asked to stay home and then all of a sudden you have to face yourself. For some, it's hard. That we are living on day-to-day distractions. And for others, they just also discover that it's actually not easy to not do a lot. So as a result, we always develop things, ways that are not necessarily healthy to cope with such situations. And one of the situations were like some wine for some, others for extra sleep, and a few managed to sleep. But one of the recommendations I can give to people is that, especially on the mental health part, is not only moving is good. So endorphins are real. So you wake up, you get out of the couch, go play, jump, or do whatever you can, whatever your surrounding allows you to do, and then your body will release endorphins and you'll feel happy. You will get a different mood than what you were in after your 10th or 20th episode on Netflix or whatever you were doing.
So there's a direct link between moving and being active and actually feeling good.
Definitely, yeah.
Which translates into a good mental state.
Definitely, yeah. There's a hormone in charge of that makes you really feel good, and people who are feeling like I'm not motivated, it's by thinking about not being motivated that you actually stay not motivated. One thing is like put your feet on the ground, get off your couch and put them on the ground and then stand. That's already like 40% of the work, and then the rest is going to induce hormones that are going to keep you wanting more. I mean, create more that effect of chasing that good feeling that comes with physical activity. So do little, and then it will make you do more, and then all around you'll feel good. Yeah.
Esther, if we could hear from you, in closing, the connection between mental health and eating correctly. I know before we started the show, we talked about children, we talked about schools, about parents, how it starts with parents, and how to ensure that our kids are healthy. And, this also connects to to a positive state of mind. If you could comment on that as we, with your closing remarks for the show.
Thank you, Diana. During this pandemic, eating healthy is really important. Eating foods with full of fruits and vegetables that can give us vitamins and minerals that helps to clean our bodies and giving our brains to work well, it can help us. Because when we eat unhealthy, there are some compositions of those unhealthy foods that can put stress on our bodies, that can cause us to feel unwell. So eating healthy is really important. As I said, eating adequate, a balanced diet means adequate proteins, carbohydrates, but healthy carbohydrates, vitamins and minerals from vegetables and fruits, and reducing the other unhealthy foods like fats that are not really needed, like those fast foods and junk foods that are not necessary in everyday life. So for the kids, it is really important to teach our kids to eat healthy foods starting from us. If we eat healthy, it will be easier to teach kids also to eat healthier. So for them to be well, like the adult people. So for a normal adult person needs the energy, the total energy from carbs or the foods that give us energy, at least 45 to 65% of the total energy of the day, from fats, healthy dietary fats, especially the fats from plants, from 20 to 35%, and from proteins, the bodybuilding foods that can help us to be well, 10 to 35%. So if we eat healthy, like in this way, it will help us to be, to have strong immune system.
Esther, thank you very much. I just want to read one last tweet of tonight before I hand over to Brenda and Charles to give a very brief closing remark. And this is a very important tweet from Julian, and she states that extended school closures due to COVID-19 could increase risk factors for weight gain in children. Childhood obesity is a significant risk factor for obesity in adulthood, which is linked to health problems such as diabetes and heart disease. How can we avoid that? So this is a question to do with, how can we get our children more active and so forth and so on. And I'll put this to you if you have ideas because of the interest of, we don't have much time. Charles, closing remarks, and if you could quickly answer Julian's question. And I put it to you because I know you work out with your kids. I know you work out with your girls a lot.
Thank you. I think I'll give that response in two facets. One, you need to make your children like what you do. And I did share something with Esther at the beginning of the show about my own journey.
I was hoping you'd share your own journey.
Where are those pictures?
I'm so disappointed we've come to the end of the show and you want to share your own
you always save the best for last. Unfortunately,
we need those pictures.
Yeah,
the
we don't have time
producers
left.
did not have that.
Yes.
I used to be probably twice as big as I am. To Ivan's point around confidence, I could not speak, dress as confidently as I do. I had a conversation with Esther at the beginning of the show. So it all goes along with that. But you need to, the point I'm raising is that my children have seen that journey, and they know the impact of that. So when you move with them, it makes a very big difference.
Absolutely.
So that is number one. But number two, and I want to emphasize this, I said this earlier during the show. For Esther's sake, I think Ivan gets it. Some of Ivan's colleagues do not get it. Simplify this. Don't tell us about
BMI.
Yes, body mass index, and she's been dazzling us with percentages of no.
Yeah.
Make it as simple as carrying a tire, or as Ivan said, lifting a child up the stairs. Really simplify this. Esther, don't tell us about those person. You know, even the cameraman who's pointing it at you does not get it. Just tell him, eat carrots. Simple as that. Just simplify it. Not everybody has gotten the advantage of looking at as many blackboards as you did. Just simplify it.
So simplify it,
yeah, just
and involve
it.
children in your
And
journey.
involve live examples.
Absolutely.
Yes. And let me make one last thing that probably might be for Ivan's sake. You cannot outrun a bad diet.
Yeah.
And this is the example I want to give to everyone else.
Yeah.
You cannot outrun a bad diet.
Brenna, unfortunately, Charles has eaten into your minutes. If you could just give very quick concluding remarks on this topic.
I just feel that diet, fitness, all these things are just a deliberate decision that one makes. You know, you have to do it. No one is going to do it for you, no matter how much money you pay to gyms and instructors. If deep inside there's no conviction of the benefits of the need to do it, you'll not able. Yeah. So it's so important that one deliberately reflects on the importance of good nutrition, the fitness, and the link to their general well-being. That makes it easy when you face the temptation to eat so much red meat, because at the back of your mind, you know what will come out of it. So for me, I would encourage people to take a deliberate, conscious look at their diet and their welfare. The very final one is on children. It all begins when we're young. The children will be watching us, what we're eating in our homes, and that's where we pick up the habits. Yeah.
Thank you very much to our viewers. We've run out of time. Unfortunately, a very interesting topic, but as usual, time goes so fast. Please keep the conversation going using the hashtag #TheSquareRW, as you can see on our screens. Thank you to Ivan. Thank you to Esther, Charles, Brenna. Always a pleasure having you. Great topic. Thank you to Uzi Collections for keeping us in Made in Rwanda, as well as our other partner, Bourbon Coffee. Thank you for tuning in. Have a good night and see you again next week.